Hello, Munir Ajam. In this video, I'm going to talk a topic maybe with a bit of fun way, but at least a serious matter as well. And I call it the PMBOK guide and political correctness. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, some of the terminology we use in the PMBOK guide, but save it for later. Let me just talk about first a concept that we have talked about maybe before and is well known, is that the concept of the process group is that basically remember the plan, do, check, act, or in the project management word or PMI word, that is planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling. And remember, PMI group these two topics together. Now, the reason I want to bring this forward first is because to highlight what do we mean by the monitoring and controlling process group. Obviously, what we are saying here is that once we start working on a phase or a project or a stage or anything, we should execute the work according to plan. We must monitor the performance to determine if there are deviation. If there are deviation, we control, we take action. So in a way, monitoring is about observing, checking the work that is being done and to analyze or check to see if it complies with the plan. And if it is not, or maybe some corrective or preventive action need to be done, that's what we do control. So monitor is monitor, control is action. Okay? Clear? I hope it is. Let's move on. So in a way, what we are saying, the purpose of the monitoring and control process group is to help us monitor performance, to check how are we doing and according to plan, and then take the necessary action, whether they are defect repair, preventive action, or corrective action, to try to adjust and get back to plan. All right, cool. So far, no problem. When we come to the PMBOK guide and the name of the process, obviously in integration, we have what we call the monitor and control project work. That is part of integration. From this, we have the other knowledge area. We have control scope, control cost, control schedule, control quality, and this, now notice before I move on, notice they use the word control. Now, again, if we want to think about accuracy of terminology, is it the correct terminology here? I mean, over here we have monitoring and control. I'm just focusing on semantic here, so allow me, maybe the point of this video will become clearer in a few minutes. But at this stage right now, if we're talking about monitoring and control, then why are we using the word control here? And does it mean that we are controlling without monitoring? Obviously not possible, right? I cannot take control action unless I monitor performance and analyze performance. Now, are we trying to save ink here? And instead of saying monitor and control scope, monitor and control cost, monitor and control schedule, we use the word control? Maybe. Again, I'm not one of those people who like to go deep into the PMBOK guide and understand every word. But these are the terminology used. The way I see it, the way I understand it in real life, it means this is, I need to monitor the performance before I can control. So to me, I look at these, all of these as control. Now we come to this side, and in the 6th edition, notice we have something called monitor risks. Now here we have the word control. Does it mean we control without monitoring? And here is monitor risk. It used to be, in the previous edition, control risk. So I have to ask the question here. In the 5th edition and before, was the word control correct or was it wrong? And why did we change it? Well, the argument we hear why we monitor risk and monitor communication and monitor stakeholder engagement. Notice on this side we're using the word monitor. Monitor. Again, what does it mean? Yeah? And if monitor is the right word, as all those who follow PMI blindly tell us, yeah, it's the right word, then was it wrong before? I mean, was the word control before? And here, for example, we have manage stakeholder. And people say, oh, we don't manage stakeholder. Wait a minute, what do you mean you don't manage? Yeah, maybe I'm not managing my boss, but in a way I'm managing the relationship, okay? And I need to do something. Now again, I'm starting to go beyond being semantic, yeah? Obviously these terms were used before, so now what does it mean? Let me focus on this one here. Monitor communication, what does it mean? Remember, this is the monitoring and controlling process group. So if I'm monitoring communication and I discover there is an error in our communication plan, what do? I would say, well, wait. My job is only to monitor. I'm not going to do anything about it. Well, of course we're going to do something about it. If you discover a deviation from plan, maybe we're not complying with the plan, or maybe there is an error in the plan, don't we need to take corrective action to fix it? I mean, I might be loony here or losing it, or maybe I don't understand the new thinking of the project management or the advancement that PMI is bringing to us in the PMBOK guide. I don't understand this terminology, okay? What does it mean? Same thing with monitoring risk. What is monitoring risks? Again, if you look at the old edition, while monitoring control risk used to be including what? To monitor that the risk action plan have been implemented, were they effective, and they were not to take corrective action. If one risk management response strategy didn't work, come up with an alternative strategy. That's control action. This is why I call this political correctness. Why are we changing the terminology here? Yeah? And why can't we say that we don't monitor risk, or we don't control communication? Again, what is the meaning of the word control? And here you start to get this argument. Because these are people, at least these are people related. Yeah? And of course the fun part is, where is the control team process? Right? Well, it's not there. Well, how about, okay, maybe we don't control people. How about monitor team? Oops, not there. Why? Yeah? This political correctness that basically tell us, when it comes to people, we don't have dictatorship. We don't control people like the army. We don't control people like an autocratic boss who will order people around or order communication. Come on, guys, wake up. Yeah? Let's be realistic here. Don't just trust the PMBOK. I mean, obviously, I'm not against the PMBOK here. This is nothing wrong with the PMBOK. It's just a volunteer who are adding this because of some kind of crazy political correctness or crazy, or whatever you call it. Because we used this terminology before. So if it for the first 5 editions, the terminology was wrong, and all of a sudden now we woke up and said, for 20 years we've been using the wrong terminology, now we are correcting the terminology? Or is this the wrong terminology and we need to adjust it? Now let me focus, before I go there, I'm going to stay with the communication or stakeholder engagement. If we discover our strategy is not working, if monitoring the stakeholder engagement discover that we have some stakeholders who are not engaged and we need to get them engaged, what do? We must take action to correct. Some people said, well, but that is in the execution and the managing the stakeholder engagement. But make up your mind. Yeah? Look, I worked in one company years ago. They used to have, instead of having project management plan, they used to call it project management and control plan. Why? Because they see management as the oversight and control as the control action. So they separated them, and they even put in the plan project management and control. So it's up to us right now. Is the project management plan that the PMBOK guide talk about and other sources talk about, is it only about management or management and control? Okay, and you could use the word management to mean management and control. In that case, we do not need the control process group. Let's merge it with executing, and then we'll have executing and control instead of executing process group and monitoring and controlling process group. Let's have an executing and controlling process group. And as we do work, we control. We do work, we control. We do work, we control. We manage, we control. Okay? So here it's more, it's a little, definitely is what I'm trying, the message I'm giving you is more than semantic. Now, let's talk about control the team. And I love this. Again, I hear the argument, we are not in the army, or we're not a dictatorship, or we don't control the team. Guys, I'm not talking here about controlling puppets. Control is not about dictatorship or hierarchy of command and demand. Control is about the purpose of monitoring and control. The purpose of monitoring and control, the plan, do, check, act, is to monitor performance, to see how are we doing. If everything is great, thumbs up. If something is not working, we need to take action to correct. That is what control is about. So let's say we are working on a project and we discover the staffing level we have is wrong. We don't have enough resources on the project. What do? Sorry. We don't have a control team process. We only manage the team. We manage and develop the team. Okay, we manage and develop the people that we have assigned to the job. But we discover we don't have enough people. What do? We don't do anything. We just monitor. No monitor even. There is no even monitor or control of the team. We just manage the team. Am I going crazy here or loony? I don't know. Maybe I am. Yeah? Maybe Dubai, the 40+ heat is getting to my head. Maybe my gray hair is impacting my brain. I don't know. You think about this. You decide what you think is logical and is not logical. To me, in the camp model, we do have a control team. And I assure you it's not about dictatorship. I assure you it's not about puppet and pulling the string of the puppet or muppet or whatever you want to call them. It's about monitoring performance. If we have too many people on the team, we have to let go some of them or reassign them to other projects. If we don't have enough, we need to take corrective action to bring more. If we have team members that are disruptive or not performing, we have to basically talk to them, mentor them, coach them, supervise them, fire them if we have to. Yeah? We have to do something. So the way I always teach, or I don't like the word teach, the way I always, when I deliver my classes on the PMBOK, I say ignore what this word says. Maybe I'm violating the holy book here. Yeah? To me is what makes sense. What makes sense is regardless what area you are in. And of course, we have other areas here. We have procurement, we have health and safety, we have physical resources. You must monitor performance. You always monitor performance. Day in, day out, you monitor, you check, you validate. And if there are deviation, we would basically make the corrective action. That's probably about everything I want to say here about the political correctness. I don't know what else to call it, so forgive me for calling it that way, because I don't see it any other way. Yeah? I mean, obviously, there are a lot of topics on the PMBOK I can touch on, I can talk about, but this one I just want to focus on the terminology of the control, monitoring and controlling processes. Thank you.